Hi guys, and welcome to Let's Talk About Ice on the Couch this week. I want to ask you a question. Do you feel it's your job to fix, manage and hold your relationships together in your family? Do you do that so much that you tend to lose yourself in that? Well, tonight we're going to help answer that question because we've got a lovely visitor with us tonight who we're going to talk to and chat with. And her name is Rosalind. And Rosalind has done the journey as a mum. She's doing the journey as a mum. And so we'll be speaking to Ros in a moment about her journey of family support. And this is why I'm here tonight as head of the care team here at Australian Anti-Ice Campaign to talk about family support tonight. So before we get into that, I'm wearing a hat because it's cold outside, folks. It's freezing. I can't believe it's the first time. It does look cute, doesn't it? So I'm told with the pom-pom, going to the football this weekend. And I thought if you're feeling the cool out there, you too can get on board at our shop at all the W's, australianantiicecampaign.org.au. Click on shop and you too can order this wonderful hat to wear to the footy, or you can wear one of our other hats, and we've got some great styles there. We've got the Neo t-shirts as well, all there for you. And as of Monday, we'll have more stock on there, which we'll talk about later. So there you go, folks. I could get this off now because we're inside. I'll need it for when I go outside though, and my hair's probably messy now. So there you go. So anyway, like I said, welcome to the show tonight. And I'd like to just remind you guys, if you do have any questions tonight, please send them in and we will try our best to answer them as the night goes on. And just to remind you, if you do want to contact us, if anything hits home, it triggers anything for you, please, you can now call us on 1-800-NO-TO-ICE. And that will take you straight to the family care line, which is usually me, okay? And then I can direct your call. So that is 1-800-NO-TO-ICE. So that's the number you call. And for tonight's show, I'd like to thank the supporters of AAIC as well. We've got the Rotary Australia, and at the moment as well, Rotary Gold Coast. They've got their gala ball happening on Saturday night, and they've been so kind and generous to have some items for auction to raise money for us here at Australian Anti-Ice Campaign. And if you guys want to get on board too, you can also donate on our website, all the W's, australianantiicecampaign.org.au. And feel free, guys, to donate or become part of our family by showing your interest to volunteer. Okay, so we'll talk more about that as the night goes on. So thank you for our sponsors. Brent Boardman from Eagle Trailers. Hi there. I know you're a great supporter of ours and you watch every week, so I'd like to say hello to you and thank you for your support. So we might get on with the show because I think we're going to cover a lot in this area tonight. So I'd like to welcome Rosalind Saunders to our chat tonight. And that's an absolute pleasure.
I'm happy to be here and thank you for having me.
That's great. Now Rosalind's put out a book. I'm going to put my drink down. I'm going to have a bit of a trouble here. I'm trying to subliminally advertise, guys, with my NEO cup.
I've got one too.
Yes,
here's
old
mine,
goodie.
up here.
And I'm going to now let you know of Rosalind Saunders' book, Emotional Sobriety, she's written. And basically Rosalind is doing the journey, aren't you, Rosalind?
Yes,
and
yes.
Would you like to start sharing about your journey as a mum?
Okay.
What's your story?
So if I may just go back a little bit to that. So I was born into addiction myself. Both my parents were addicts. Then I married an alcoholic, surprise, surprise. And then I was married for 24 years and 3 out of 4 of my children have been heavily into addiction for over 25 years. Wow. So we're talking heroin, ice, we're talking prisons, rehabs, overdoses, psych wards, open heart surgery with one of my daughters. So that's been what's happened over the last 25 or so years. My point was perhaps talking about where I've come from is addiction can be intergenerational. Until someone, which in my case said the buck stops with me, and I decided to do the work on myself. What my message is about for parents, family members, if it's your brother, your sister, your cousin or whatever, the absolute most important thing we can do is get support and do the work on ourselves.
Wow, 3 children.
Yes.
How are you still standing? I know that I speak with many families out there on a day-to-day basis, and they're at the end of their tether.
Yes.
And they just have nowhere else to go because,
Yeah.
like I said, and I opened the show with, they place their whole self into trying to keep their family together, that they lose themselves.
Yes. Yes.
Did you find
so
that?
I've had many, Leanne, and many sleepless nights, as you families out there will understand. It's a tough gig. It's a tough gig with one, and then you multiply that by 3. I don't know whether that's bigger or whatever. Anyway, it is a tough gig, and so I had to dig deep many times, many nights, fearful that I'd get the knock on the door from the policeman to say your child is dead. Many programs going through my head, planning my children's funerals. Thinking this is the last time I will see my child alive. It's, as I said, it's a tough gig, and however, I'm living proof that you can get through it. And what I'd like to also mention is there are wonderful gifts in this journey for your family members and for yourself. Wow. But the main point is that if we can take the focus off the addict, which is very difficult to do, especially when your children or your family member are out there killing themselves. It's very difficult. But if we can, the most important thing is to get the right support around you. You know what? When we build a big tall building, we put scaffolding around it. So what we want to do is get scaffolding around ourselves. Come to AAIC, to the family support, to people like Leanne, get support. And what's most important, I can share, because I did things wrongly a lot. Well, I don't know whether it was wrongly, but there's things that I would do differently now. I often would go to maybe my own family members, and they weren't going through the journey, so they didn't really understand, and I would take on board their ideas or other people's ideas, and really in learning across the journey, go to the people that have either been through the journey, that have had family members in addiction, someone that really gets what you're going through, for support.
And that's what we do here, guys. When
Absolutely.
you ring 1-800 No to ICE, I can then put you in touch with somebody who has done the journey and has learnt from their own journey so that they can support you. And this is exactly what Rosalind's saying, and she talks about a lot of this in her book, Emotional Sobriety, which will be available on our website as of Monday. If you'd like to put your order in, you can contact us tonight and place your name on our website, where you can type in the questions, and we'll make sure we get your order in. Rosalind, you talk about finding raw courage to recover from codependency. Now, explain to us what you mean by codependency.
Okay, thank you. Now, codependency, it was about 25 or 30 years ago that I came across a book. I didn't even know what the word was. And I read this particular book, and I wasn't just on every page, I was on every word of this book. So codependency is the condition of the lost self, when we lose ourselves to other people, places and things outside of ourselves, and we become dependent upon them to feed us, to give us juice, so to speak, that we give away all of our power. So that's really and I believe that codependency underpins all addiction. So what we've got to watch with family members, when we've got family members or especially children in addiction, we've got to watch our own codependency. Now, the number one reason we go to addictions or codependency, I call in my book, codependency is the mother of all addictions. So it's my belief that if you don't go down, and with the support like AAIC and the programs and support, and heal the codependency that's underlying the addiction. And the number one reason we go to any addictions all of us is we cannot manage our emotions. That's why I called my book Emotional Sobriety. Now, people would probably think sobriety means you're not an alcoholic lying in a gutter with a brown paper bag. Sobriety in the actual dictionary means of sound mind. So we want to be of calm, sound mind. And I believe it crosses all areas of our lives. So that's why I called it Emotional Sobriety. That's my number one thing. That comes first for me before anything else. And then when we have our own emotional sobriety, which wavers at times, it's life, it's called being human, isn't it? It wavers, and that's why we need our scaffolding and our support in place and the learning. And when we have that in place, we're in a better place to make decisions and be a demonstration to our family members and especially our children. Otherwise, we can be tempted to, we become so obsessed with the child, and I've done all of these things, I promise you. We become so obsessed, we can't function at work, we can't eat, we can't function. And then we can be very led to addictions ourselves. I know of mothers, I haven't actually done this, I've done plenty of the other things of course, but that they will actually start drinking alcohol because of the pain of seeing their children or family member. So then it becomes a double addiction. Or we're so, I've certainly been so frantic and uptight and sick to my backbone that I've run red lights. You know, coming home from the hospital when your child's overdosed or when you've put them into the psych ward, I call it the codependent crazies. We're not of sound mind, so then that can actually magnify already the damage that's been done.
And I'm sure there's a lot out there that can really relate to what you're saying right now in what they're doing in losing themselves into this codependency. So with that said, how would you manage codependency behaviour? I know you talk about that in your book here.
Learn about it. You can Google it. Get familiar with the word codependency.
Okay.
You know, for a start, it's because what happened with me was I was going to psychologists, I was going to psychiatrists, I was going everywhere, and people didn't get me. They didn't get me, and I would even go to some. I'm not blanketing that statement on all psychologists or psychiatrists, please hear me. However, I remember going to psychologists and I would say, I'm working on my own codependency. And they would say, what is that?
Wow.
So what I want to do is bring out this word and bring out more understanding of it.
Wow.
It's the largest addiction in the world is codependency, and it underpins all other addictions. If we don't go down and do the deep emotional work and connection to our higher self, whatever that may be for you, whatever you call that, connection to our higher self, if we don't do that, we can just tend to cross-addict another relationship, another drug, another business.
Wow.
I think codependency is just epidemic out there, and it's very socially accepted and as normal out there. Being addicted to being busy, being addicted to our children. We have to learn also that if we become obsessed with it, our children or our family members, then they become our drug.
Yep.
They become our drug, and then it doesn't help anybody. And we have to learn that whoever our family member, our children, they have their own higher power, and we're not it.
Yeah,
that's a hard thing. We don't want to give that up. We want to be the fix-it. We want to roll up our sleeves and go, I'll fix this child. I know what to do. And a lot of the times it's surrendering to a power greater than yourself and being able to step out of it. And most parents, and it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and that brings me into enabling and not enabling, because with that codependency, that's where you can cross the barrier as to enabling or not enabling. How would you like to explain a little bit about that and where you may have made mistakes that you've made that you've learnt from?
Absolutely.
So others out there.
So, obviously with the long history I've had, I've done all, some good things and not so good, and I've just done it every step of the way. Baby steps, take very good care of yourself. Enabling is when it's not easy not to enable your children when they ring you for money and you say no. And of course, we all know, I'm sure parents out there, we know what comes back on the phone, calling you names and etc. So it's not easy to do that.
What did you do, if you don't mind me stopping you there?
Yeah.
When you would get that happening to you,
Yeah.
how did you cope with that? What
I would have to take it. Sometimes I'd have days in bed. Sometimes I couldn't eat, but I've learnt now to strengthen my own emotional sobriety, and there's less time between those gaps. You learn to build your spiritual muscle.
Okay.
You know, to learn to build your trust muscle.
Yep.
It's like a muscle inside of us. We've got to hand over to a power greater than ourselves because we can't fix it. And then we need to turn it back in on ourselves. What can I do for me? And that even puts energetically, it puts a frequency out there, which I believe goes through by osmosis to your children.
Okay.
Or your family member.
Okay. So there's a parent out there who has said, and I've had this said to me time and time again, my conscience cannot have me know that my child is going to be homeless out on the street while it's raining and I do not let them in the front door. They're on the veranda, they're screaming to let me in, it's cold, you're this, you're that, you don't care for me.
Yes.
How would you handle that?
I would say to that parent that you are helping them die. What if just at that time, and that's where I'd say it takes great strength and great faith, because that might just be the thing, because we're feeding their addiction, because we can't bear our own pain.
What a great way of putting it.
So, and usually in those situations, which I've done many, many times, had my children back, and if it's not one, it's the other, or whatever, it never turns out well. 2 or 3 days, they get what they want, and then off they go again and leave us. When people are in addiction, it's like they come into your life when they want something, I call it like a white tornado. They come in, they whiz around, and then they leave again when they've either got what they want, or they don't, or you're not giving them what they want, and we're on the bed again, decked out. So it's back to resting, doing what I can do, getting your support team, calling your support team for the likes of Leanne, getting her to connect you up with people, and then nurturing. I call it cocooning. And I call it, we need to cocoon, we need to take off, well, this is what I've done, I'm not telling people what to do, take off all our stressors. If there's commitments we've made that we can say, look, I'm not up to it, do that. Because we find that hard to do. Oh, but I have to do this and I have to do that. So take away your stressors, cocoon, and I call it in my book, talk a lot about, put yourself into emotional intensive care unit. Your own one.
Your own one.
Your own
Very
one.
good.
Whether that be go to bed, whether that be cry, whether that be ring a friend, whether that be have someone bring you a meal, go to a support group, emotional intensive care unit. You know what? If we had, this is heart and brain surgery, this stuff.
Absolutely.
And if we had heart and brain surgery, we'd been in intensive care unit. We need to do that with our emotions.
Yeah. And I know that when people call in at AAIC here, I send out resources, and one of those resources is a little snippet, a 2-3 minute snippet about enabling and not enabling. And I also send them out resources that they can do and watch Chemically 2 speaking, and you'd be doing yourself a favour to go the extra mile and to do this SAMI brief online, and I think it's not that expensive. I think it's around $45, and it's worth doing that, because what you're doing is you're arming yourself with weapons for the warfare, for when your loved one comes to you and is not willing to change their life, you can then know and be prepared and know how to respond to them. And now we have another weaponry to arm ourselves with, and this is this book. Can people see this? Excuse me. I know I've got Gucci hands here. Emotional Sobriety from Ros Saunders, and it's going to be on our shop as of next week. Okay, so this is good. It's look, I've looked a bit through it, and it's easy reading, guys. It's not a difficult read. It's really not a difficult read. It's not a big clunky book that you find difficult
Well,
to
the
read.
thing is,
think
Leanne,
it's
I
great
didn't
the way
want
you've
it a
written
big
this.
book because when we're in that state, if
Yes.
someone gives us a big book, and I
Stand
say
off.
in the book, which I often say, when I'm in my codependent crazies or emotionally, I can't spell that. I can't think. I can't think. I can't even. So how could you read a big book?
Yep.
So I've written this book. It's more of like a bit of a workbook, a support guide, so you can, if you're feeling really, really wobbly and petrified because you've just said no to your child or you know they're out there, read your book so you go, yep, I'm on track.
Good.
You know.
Good.
So that's what, and then turn the focus, as I've said, round onto what you can do. I promise, that is the most loving and kindest thing you can do for your family member in addiction, is clean up your own addictions and your own codependencies.
Well said. Well said, Rosalind. So, with your own experience, you said you've made plenty of mistakes. What would you do if
Plenty.
when you've spiralled out of control? How did you get yourself back on track?
Okay, so I recently, a couple of years ago, had,
Share a story,
my
yeah.
son is on ice, and like you say, police, etc. And so I rang my support person.
Right.
I was white. I know I was white with, and I rang my support person. They said, why don't you just, lie in bed, and they suggested the song I Surrender All.
Right.
I love that
Oh,
song.
it's a great
I
song.
surrender all, because there's nothing else to do. And what I'd like to say is, when you're on your knees, stay there. What happens is we go a bit low, then we get up and go, right, the fight's on again, and we get back in the game. Stay out of that game. I call it, in my coaching and in my book, stay in your own paddock. Mind your own business, and then you're more prepared and a better demonstration to the addicts in your life.
Yep. Yep. Now you
And we
mentioned
shared a story before,
We
Leanne,
did,
didn't we,
yes.
about your sister?
yes,
Didn't
yes, we did, and I know that from the things I've put into place now, our relationship is so much better.
Absolutely. It absolutely works.
Takes time,
Is it
but-
easy? Of course it's not easy. Can it be done? It can be done. And sometimes we've got to do it in baby steps.
Oh, yeah.
Some days, and sometimes it's an hour at a time, sometimes it's a minute at a time. Some days go great, and then you think, oh, I think I've got my handle on this thing. Then something will happen. So, and then you think, oh, I'm back to square one. But we just keep doing, like going to the gym, building that muscle, building that spiritual muscle, building your trust and faith, and building your emotional sobriety, muscle by muscle. You don't go to the gym once and you're there. You go, and the reason I wrote this book is because, for me, I need to
There
read
you
my
go.
own book. So
It's
to
usually the
keep
way.
me sober.
Yep. Yep.
And
That's
I'm not
fantastic.
talking I don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke, and I don't take drugs. I'm talking emotionally sober, because I have a better life.
Yeah.
Then I can have joy and I can have fun. And I actually have a very, very good life. I love my life, and I now can see the absolute gifts in the journey that I've been given.
Now tell me
Huge
about
gifts.
that. You said before there are gifts in the journey, even though you're in
Absolutely.
that dark place.
Yes?
I'm sure I'm sitting here thinking, gifts? You've got
Yep.
children, you've got 3 children going through addiction.
Yes.
You don't know whether they're going to live or die.
Yeah.
What are the gifts?
The gifts are that you have to go deep, you have to go connection with your own higher power, whatever that is for you, and then you get the gifts of that. And that then flows out to all other areas of our lives.
Okay.
So-
Can you explain that a little bit more so our listeners can understand? Because I know that when you're walking through that dark valley, sometimes you think that the light at the
never
end of the
any-
tunnel,
yeah.
there's no light at the end of the tunnel, it's a train coming.
That's right, a train wreck, and I've felt that many times. However, as you keep doing this work, keep the focus on yourself and doing the work.
Yes.
Be hungry. Be hungry
Okay.
for the work for yourself.
Yes.
And what did you say? Explain it a little bit more. The gifts.
Yes.
So the gifts I have, I really love my life. I think I love my life more than I ever have, and I don't think I would feel this good or enjoy my life if I hadn't had this journey.
Wow.
I feel like I've been given this most blessed life. Now, I'm not saying I don't have challenges. Of course, that's life. We need challenges to grow. But then you start to change your perception and on all things. And life is a gift. I think I'm one of the most blessed people. I feel like the luckiest girl in the world.
Wow, isn't that? And I hear that time and time again from people going through a tough journey. They like people see with my hands, for instance. I'm not the person I was before this condition happened. I feel like I'm a better person and love life more.
Absolutely.
And I suppose that's what is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Is that what you're saying through
if
this
you
journey?
change your perception in it,
Yes.
and one little trick that I think is good that I help people with or whatever is write down. I say to people, what are the benefits in this? And of course the family members go, oh, there's none, and it's this and that, and I draw it out of them.
Okay.
You know, it's making you strong. You've met new friends. You've had to grow. You've learned a whole new knowledge on something that you maybe, like Leanne's doing or like Andrea's doing here, we may be able to be of service to others.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
is that not a gift to be of service?
There you go. That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, we're getting goosebumps.
So,
where do we go from here? This is great. So where are your, if I may say so, where are your kids at the moment, Rosalind?
I've got two of my daughters are they're sort of becoming more sober now.
Yes.
And I have one son in Auckland who's doing a little bit better, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so they're seeing you, and do you have contact with your son in Auckland? What's the
I
situation?
do. I've had many years of not a lot of contact with my children because I've been we used to call it tough love. I wouldn't go into their game. So I had many years, but then you manage yourself with that, of course. And when you're around families where they've got all their children, you go home crying.
Oh,
which all of you out there will know this. And so it's managing yourself around that. And so I'm happy to say that I've actually just had a weekend in Melbourne with my two daughters.
Wow.
And it was a lovely weekend. We went down to see my other son who had just had a little baby, and I just kept saying, thank you, God, because it's like a miracle.
Oh, my goodness.
I could have
you're a
never
grandma.
envisaged that.
Oh,
yes.
how beautiful is that?
Yes.
That is awesome.
Yes.
And I can relate because I know with my sister in my journey, when I've had to put what we call fences of love around her to protect my own children that were growing up, I was ostracised by family members who thought that they were doing the right thing by her, but they were, and I'm not going to blame them for enabling or not enabling, that's for them to decide. But for me to protect my children, I was ostracised almost. But I look back now and I look at my relationship with my sister, and it's so different, and it's come such a long way. And I can see that in what you're saying with your children.
I actually believe that we've got myself and my children have a deeper relationship than a lot of people that haven't been through this.
Okay.
That there's an honesty. I think that there's a lot more honesty in my children in my lives now. There's the white elephant in the lounge and the denial is breaking down.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, and that's change on both sides, not just my children. It's change on my side as well.
Yep. Isn't it good that you're saying that? Because it's not just the one-sided, it's both sides.
No, it's not. We've both got, and how blessed we are to have this journey. If we could start saying, thank you for the journey, thank you for the journey, then we change our perception a little bit, then the information comes. There's always more information coming if we're open enough or willing enough to learn. But if we sit in victimhood,
and that's the thing.
Then we're shut off to it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And I'm not saying it's easy again. I'm just saying if we sit in victimhood, then we're addicted to the victimhood.
Yep. And
For me.
Yeah, and I've learnt recently, asking why is this happening to me, why, that is sitting in victimhood.
Absolutely.
Instead, ask how can I change this?
What
can
could
I
I
do?
do? Absolutely.
And get away
Leanne.
from the why questions into the how.
And the victimhood, because then we become, and also be very careful, and that becomes your whole story to the world. I've got children that are on drugs and blah, da, 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 da. You know, we get addicted to the story because we get sympathy.
Yeah.
People go, oh, poor you, and all of that. Be careful what you get addicted to all of that as well. But when you do this work and you fill yourself up, you don't need any of that. or not as much.
Not
I'm not
as
saying
much,
we don't
not as
need
much.
support, and I
Yes.
might need support tomorrow morning.
Yes,
we don't
I get
know.
that. I get that. Now, at this moment, guys, is there any questions? Has anyone got any questions? Please feel free to write your questions down, and they'll get passed to me tonight, and we'll do our best to answer them. Okay. But the question I have for you, Roz, is I just love seeing you sitting here, talking to you, getting to know you, and I've spoken to you before, and you come across to me as someone who would have been a wonderful mother raising your kids, because this drug we're learning does not discriminate.
No.
And I'm sure you did the best you could with your kids. So have you got anything to say out there regarding those who have this mentality that drug addicts are only for the lower socioeconomic?
Absolutely not. It can, I think that's a very ignorant way to look at it.
It is, isn't it?
And we're in a world now where ignorance isn't a choice. There's lots of ignorance is a choice. I beg your pardon. There's lots of information out there. So for me, if someone was judging that, I would say it says more about them than perhaps the addicts they're looking at.
Yep.
So it can, any of us can fall prey to this.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily because of family dysfunction either, although that can be part of the reason. I'm not disqualifying that. But I know that I've had calls too recently from families that they say, I would never imagine my child doing this. I raised them in a church, or I've done this and good morals, and yet they've still gone down that path. And so, it's difficult for those families too to have to deal with that, because they see it a kind of shame.
Yes.
And they hide behind that.
Embarrassed and shamed, and how could this happen to my family? We've brought them up well, and instead of looking at it, this is our situation. What can we learn from this?
Yes.
How can we empower ourselves to deal with the situation? And if they have shame, then get someone to help you work through the shame. Don't be afraid of your feelings.
That's right.
We need to learn to, start getting connected with our own feelings. Instead of saying, I think this, I think that, you start, how do I feel? Because when people are using addiction, they're disconnected from themselves. That's so they're disconnected from themselves, and they do things that they would never do if they weren't using substances or in addiction. However, we need to get connected to ourselves as well, and when we connect and fill ourselves up, we then can connect to our family members or children in a different way.
You certainly can.
Yes.
Yes, that's
just
awesome.
like what you're saying, Leanne.
Are rehabs worth it, and do they work? Somebody's written in. What's your thoughts on that, coming from your perspective?
My children have been round and round in
Thanks
rehabs.
for the question.
I think if a person really, really wants to clean up and do the work, if they're really, really ready, I've taken my children to rehabs through force, and it doesn't really work.
No.
They don't.
That's exactly right. I know some parents who want to grab them by the scruff of the neck.
I did.
Say, and take them. And,
I do. Well, you want relief. The parents want relief, and they just want to go. They're in rehab. Then that's it. They expect a shiny silver bullet. They're in I thought that when my first daughter went at 16. Oh, now it's all over. We're 20 years down the track and it's still not. So it's not the whole answer. I would rather them be in rehab than not.
Yes.
Be careful which rehabs you are, because then that can breed other forms of addiction inside. Relationship addictions start in rehab. They go off the drug, then they get into a relationship in the rehab. They get out of the rehab, and then because the relationship starts getting wobbly, they start back on the drug.
Yep.
So again, the codependency, and it's about go to rehab, but you've got to keep doing this work all the time. Your emotional sobriety, we're here to evolve, so we want to keep, I do this work every day, or I do what I can to keep myself in the best order I can. That means eating well, that means resting, that means being in the right environments, not putting myself in emotionally unsafe environments. It's too slippery. We can just go, bang, then we spiral down.
Yes.
I will not do that. Learning to say no to things things that don't serve us.
Yep.
I never said no to anything, and I'd go and do things that I didn't even want to do. And we think
How many of us have found ourselves
Oh,
doing that?
and we do that because we want our friend to stay our friend, or we
Yes.
want to be liked, or because we're so empty inside.
Yep.
But really, when we say yes, when there's a no to be said, there's more disconnection because we then build resentment to that person.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so it's a false sense of
It is.
trying to get attention or be liked. People, the dis-ease to please, I was full of it. So because I was so empty inside that I wanted to get approval. Now, as you fill yourself up and do the work and get the support of places like the AAIC, you start to fill up and you're not so need. What is it? Need to be needed.
Need to be needed,
And
yeah.
we need to be needed by our children.
Yeah. So that's great what you've spoken about is codependency and getting out of that. Recognising that you do have that. Recognising that
Most
you're
of
not
us do, by the way.
Yes, there you go. And here's one example of it. And I know that there are others. And there is, have a support person. Have somebody in support that you know is going to lift you up. Not somebody who's full of advice that that's going to wear you out and bring you down. You need somebody who you can relate to. That's where you contact us here at Australian Anti-Ice Campaign.
Yes.
We can connect you. I can even connect you to Roz if you'd like to know more and have an appointment with Roz. Is that okay, Roz?
Yes, absolutely.
connect-
I do free discovery calls to just see
Wonderful.
where you're at. And also, may I just add on
Yes.
that, Leanne, it's good to have a strong person to support you. We want empathy, not sympathy. Not your
Absolutely.
poor
What a good point.
thing, and then that person feels worse, or, oh, this is terrible that this is happening to you. We want strong support, a person in a sober mind to support us so they can then hold us accountable. Well, are you going for a little walk every day? Are you resting?
Yeah.
Are you drinking your water? Because we need to call out, it's calling us higher.
Yeah, it is. And this is what we do also with those of you who are struggling in addiction that need help. You can call us as well because we can set you up with a buddy that will support you who has been down the path of addiction, that's come out the other end. And that's exactly what they do. We put them on the tripod system of support. They're the first leg to encourage you as a buddy. The second leg is to encourage you to NA or community service.
Absolutely.
And the third leg is to encourage you to clinical counselling or psychology and possibly then rehab from there on. But that's what the buddy system does, and we also do that for family support as well in a clinical way. And so it's great having Roz on board with us here at Australian Anti-Ice Campaign. We're so blessed to have you. And we've got others as well with Kylea, and we've got George, who's our optimal health clinical psychologist that you can contact. So so guys, you can ring us here at 1-800-NO-TO-ICE. Okay, and if you ring and it goes to message bank, you know that I will get back to you as soon as I can, and we don't like you falling through the cracks and be forgotten as well. So those people I put you onto, I generally say if you haven't heard from them within 24, 48 hours, please call me back, because there will be a very good reason why they haven't contacted you. And I think having that support, like you said, a stronger person on your side, on your team to pep you up and keep you motivated and keep you going is
And
so
keep you
important.
accountable.
Keep
Keep
very
you
good.
accountable. A buddy that will be honest enough to you to keep you, even if you don't like them. You don't have to like them all the time. Like any coach. It's like I talk about in the book, it's like our own Olympic gold medal.
Yeah.
Does the coach want to be liked? No, they're there to coach you to your own, to Olympic medal, to a gold medal. This is our internal gold medal.
Yes. And this is an opportunity for you guys not to get yourself into mental health as well, guys. If you're a parent, an auntie, an uncle, a brother, a sister out there, and you're weighed down, because your loved one is in addiction, no longer. There is an answer out there.
There's so much information. We've got the internet, we've got places like the AAIC, we've got, like you say, NA, 12-step programs. As I said, it's not enough just to know these days, we need to know how. What's one step I can take today? What's one step I can take the next day? Don't try and go right from down here to up here, because we'll crash down again. I've done that many times as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just build it sustainable. I'm about sustainable recovery.
Right.
Not the silver bullet rah-rah, because I don't like the crashes after that.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's oh my gosh, it's phenomenal the amount of inspiration that I've learnt myself from you tonight, and I'm sure there's many out there. If there are any questions that you guys have out there, I'd love for you to ask them. Don't be afraid. No question is a silly question.
Absolutely.
By the way, so please feel free to ask. And feel free to call us on 1-800-NO-TO-ICE through business hours, and we can get you onto some sort of support and tripod system of support as well if you are suffering an addiction and you want to. And also share this. Please share this live stream, guys. Share it on your private Facebook pages, and because you can't overshare this because you don't know who you could be touching. You don't know. With ice addiction, especially within families, it is a thing of shame, and a lot of families don't like talking about it, even though it's happening in their life, and they could be in denial, and you don't know about it. So you sharing this can give them hope. And I know tonight that there are many out there. Let us know on our page, will you? Please let us know if we're reaching you and giving you a new hope to go on with your loved ones. That would be great to know, and where we can go from there as well. Is there anything else you'd like to share that's on your heart, Rosalind, that you feel that would help somebody out there?
When you were just talking about hope, Leanne, we just need this much hope, then this much hope, then this much hope. You know, don't just bit by bit by bit, and be very kind to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Be very kind. That is the absolute greatest thing you can do for anybody in addiction. By demonstrating to them that you value yourself, they will then be watching you, even if they're not doing it. They know what's going on, and we're teaching them how to value themselves.
Yes.
And by not getting into the game, I will not play in that game of addiction or any of that environment. I just will not go there for myself. So we're actually demonstrating and doing it, and then they are watching. Your children know what you're doing, and children love, they feel secure with that. They might not tell you, and they might not, but they actually feel secure because deep down they know that they can rely on you. They know that you love them dearly. Don't ever think your children don't think you love them. Not anybody I've ever known doesn't love their children.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do it not quite in the right way. However, we love our children or we love our family members in addiction. But first of all, we have to love ourselves first.
Yes, and to love yourself is to then build up enough confidence within yourself so that when your child, a loved one, does call you and you say no, and they heap on you all this accusations and abuse. That is a coping mechanism, isn't it? You've filled your bank in a sense.
Yes.
It's a deposit in a bank.
And it's our responsibility. We are 100% responsibility to love and value ourselves.
Yes.
It's not our children's role.
That's
It's not anybody else's role in the world. We are when we're adults, we're 100% responsible to fill up our tank, and daily. As we say, I do practices daily. People go to church. People do all sorts of things. And that's nobody else is responsible for your joy and happiness in your life.
Yourself. That's right. So what's a coping mechanism then that you can share when your loved one may call in and a heap of use on you during that time, going through that time? What would you suggest? How would you advise them to cope with that?
Well, what I've done is I just put the phone down.
Okay,
I don't want to listen
wrong with
to
that, guys.
I just put the phone down, and then I either reach out for my own support or I just put the phone down. I can't hear it.
Yep.
And they know what you're doing. And the thing is, my children used to do that, ring me for money or ring me. They don't do it anymore because they don't do it well, they wouldn't probably do it now anyway, however, but they don't do it. You teach them how to treat you. That's, Dr. Phil. Teach people how to treat us.
Yes.
So if they keep ringing up and wanting money or wanting you to drive them somewhere when, or I've got nothing to eat but they've got money for the drugs or they can get wherever to the parties, and you keep saying no, they'll stop. They'll find somewhere else to go. They'll go somewhere else because you've got You're in control of your emotional sobriety, and that's your responsibility. So it's nobody else's responsibility to say no to them, it's yours. And then it's back to base. Okay, what do I need to do for me now to get over this fear or that grips you once you've just heard their voice, or when you see their name come up on the phone, or you haven't heard from them for 1 or 2 days or 6 months? Back to base, back to base, back to dealing with our own emotions and getting support.
And take control of your own life.
Absolutely. You're 100% responsible. Everybody is 100% responsible for their own life. There's too much blaming and complaining.
Yes.
And people get addicted to that as well.
Absolutely.
Because society in a lot of ways enables that.
Yeah.
You know, entitlement, or I shouldn't have to do this, all right? Well, it's life.
It is life, isn't it? And sometimes hanging up that phone is the best thing you can do for your loved one, guys, because you are showing them, and they will come back to you, like
Absolutely,
you said earlier,
Leanne.
because they'll know where they stand exactly with you. Let your yes be yes and your no, no, and they will know that they can rely on you when
Absolutely.
the time comes, when they get to that point.
They know where to go.
They know where to go because
Absolutely.
they know that mum or dad, auntie are going to have their back, you know. And it's not easy. It's not easy getting out of recovery. I'm not trying to say it is easy. It's not, but it's better than ending up in a mental health institute, suicide, or dead any other way. You know, what would you rather? You know, and your life can be an example to so many more. And if you're watching this and you're struggling in addiction, please, your life can mean so much to so many more if you just give us a call and start your journey, even if it's one breath after another, one foot in front of the other. You know, then you are setting an example for somebody else. And for a lot of our faithful listeners, they know Andrea's story. They know that she had a near-death experience. They know that she came home and her own mother couldn't even recognise her for who she was, yet she got up. She took one step after another, and she had a support person who would say to her, come on, we're going for a walk today.
Yes.
I don't want to walk, I want to die.
Yeah.
I just want to die. Nope, you can die tomorrow.
Yeah.
You get up and walk today. And that's exactly what we do. We buddy you up with somebody who's going to give you that accountability, who's going to lift you up when it's difficult for you, walk beside you, lend a hand, my brother. Why did that come to me? That's a great song. If you do want that song, that CD, you can go to our website and you can order it online. And Andrea's not on tonight, so I'm going to plug it. I'm going to plug the CD. This CD, Andrea wrote every song and the music, Highway Destruction. And you can listen to this, and I guarantee you, if you or your family member or loved one has been caught in addiction, you will relate to this as a sense of hope. You've got a better way. She sings from her heart, from her own journey. And, you know, Lend a Hand, My Brother is about each other, picking each other up.
Linking arms.
Linking arms. Absolutely. And this is what we do here. We link
That's
arms.
what we're meant to be. We're meant to be in tribes. That's how,
Exactly.
you know, the different cultures live. But we've become very disconnected from ourselves, society. You know, we've become independent. I'm independent. I can do it on my own. So we need to go from codependency to independent to interdependency.
Now, there's a difference there. Dad, what's the difference between codependency and interdependency?
Well, interdependency is when you can go in and out when it's right and healthy. Codependency isn't. So we need to go to interdependency. We're not islands. We're not supposed to be doing it on our own. I don't want to do it on my own. I don't. But you know, society went through a phase of, you know, just be yourself, and you can do it on your own and whatever. We're not. That's not how we're put together. That's not how we're wired. We're wired for connection. Connection is the name of the game. Connection to your higher power, connection to yourself, and then we can connect out. Simple as that.
Oh, look, absolutely wonderful. So enjoyed your company tonight, Ros.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute buzz pleasure, honestly. There's no words to describe. I know you're an answer to somebody out there, guys. Let us know if it's you. We'd like to know. And we can get in contact with you too, guys. You can also help keep our AAIC going. Help us, guys. We need help with sponsorship. We need help with donations. We're not government funded as yet. We do rely on the kind donations of companies, sponsors, and the public. I'm a volunteer. We all work in this office as volunteers, okay? And because we have something to give back to society, okay? So please, if you feel in your heart, go to all the W's, www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au, click on Join the Army, sign the petition to the government so that we can get government funding.
Absolutely.
One day, and then
Need
join the Army, become a sponsor. It only costs $10 to educate one child in the dangers of ice addiction. And I haven't mentioned a bit about that tonight, where we go into the schools. If you're a mum, a dad, if you're a part of a school parents and friends committee, get onto your school principals back and tell them you need our school, our high school needs AAIC to come into the schools to educate, because education is the thing that people know. We go into schools where kids with problem children, and their concentration span is so short. But when we go in with our lived experience presenters, we have them eating out of the palm of our hand, because there's their shop. We teach them. We don't tell them they shouldn't touch drugs. We go in there and we say to them, we just want to share what this has done to us. We just want to share stories and testimonies.
Yes.
And I've got kidney problems now. I've got liver function problems now, because I went down the track of falling into peer pressure and smoking that pipe, taking that marijuana that was laced with ice.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't want that. What child grows up saying, oh, I want to be a drug addict when I grow up. I want to sell my body for drugs. I don't think so. You know, we go in and we educate the kids. We show them that what their drinks and what they're playing with can be laced with, and also the poisons that are in there, in the marijuana or the ecstasy or the other drugs they're taking, and especially ice. It's laced with poisons. Drano you put down the sink to unblock your drains. It's an acid. That is laced in ice, and that is what's killing you and eating at your brain cells. So guys, please get on board. Get on to your teachers at your high school. Say we need AAIC to come in to do workshops. It's not that expensive. You know what? It could be the cost of somebody's life.
Absolutely.
You cannot afford not to do this. Okay, guys, I think we're running out of time now. I just want to thank you so much, Rosalind, for coming in and sharing with us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been my pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
I'm very passionate about helping.
I know.
And you know, with anything in life, I believe it's the people that have been in the trenches where you've been that can help you out. And there's many areas of life I can't help people, but because of my blessed life and what I've been given, I feel I can relate and help.
Now, how can people contact you, Loz?
Okay, so I have a Facebook page called Power of No. So my name is Rosalind Saunders. I also this is the book Emotional Sobriety, which you can buy through the AAIC shop. And my website is rosalindsaunders.com.au. I've kept it all the same and simple because I can't remember other people. It's like, oh, this is their name and this is their website. Just keep it my name, rosalindsaunders.com.au. I'm happy to have a chat with anybody, a free 20-minute just to chat. I also have an emotional hotline that people can log into, and for those times where you're just at wit's end and you don't know what to do and you just need someone to help you over the hope.
How do I get to that emotional hotline?
That you can go onto my website and log into that.
So that's rosalindsaunders.com.au. Very simple. So thank you, Rosalind. I appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you guys for listening. Please pass this live stream on. It's been a fantastic week. Thank you guys. Don't forget, go to our... Oops, I was going to show you the hats again. Go to our website and go to our shop where you can also get bang for your buck, okay? So from us here at Australian Anti-Ice Campaign, I'd like to say ciao for now, and we'll speak again soon. God bless you. Oh yeah, we got to do the not... Do you know the not even once sign with the fingers? No. My hands can't do it. You do the not.
Show me how to do
the 2 fingers for the N. No, on your right hand to show. No, 2 fingers down. Watch Andre. Watch over there.
Like that.
Yep, and then the 3 fingers.
Like
not
that.
Even. and the one.
Once.
So you ready?
Did I
So
do
as we sign off, you go not
even
once.
Did I
See
do it
you,
okay?
Yeah, you did it excellent. See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night. Woo.